Lesson 13 is on finding percents. And when we know two numbers and we have to find the percent, we are going to use this proportion here, is over of equals percent over 100. So you're going to want to write that down or memorize it because we are going to use it for a little while here when we're working with percents. So the first question says, what percent of 92 is 66? So you are noticing that it says of and also is. So those are what we're going to use in figuring out this problem. So is on the top of our first ratio there. So is 66. So 66 would be our top number. And then of is underneath, and it says of 92. So of goes under the is, and that would be 92. Now it says equals percent over 100. We do not know what the percent is, so we're going to put an X there. And this number here is always 100. So now we're going to do something that we call cross multiplication. So we're going to multiply the two numbers that are on a diagonal from each other. So we're going to do 66 times 100, and then we're going to divide that by what's across from our variable. So we're going to have to divide that by 92. So this is going to be 6,600 divided by 92. And when we do that on our calculators, we get 71.7391. So I'm going to say about, so a squiggly equal sign is about 71.7%. I'm going to round to the nearest tenth because it didn't tell us what to round to. All right, so for this next one, it says what percent of 220 is 88? So is 88 of 220. So is over of equals percent over 100. So again, cross multiply the two numbers across from each other. So 88 times 100. We're going to divide that by what's across from our unknown. So divide by 220. So that would be 8,800 divided by 220. That would equal 40. So our answer is 40%. Next one says 60 is 12% of what number? So now we know a percent. So we have a little bit different here. So we have 60 is. So our is would be 60. Our of, it says of what number? We don't know the of, so that's where my variable is going to go. We have a 12%, so that's going to go where the percent is. And our bottom is always 100. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cross multiply. So we have 60 times 100, that is across from each other. And 12 is across from the x, so we have to divide by 12. So we'll have 6,000 divided by 12, and that equals 500. And notice this question does not say what percent, it says of what number. So 500 is our number, so it does not get a percent sign. So be careful when you're reading your problems. If it says what percent, then you add a percent sign. If it doesn't, if you had a percent in the problem that you used, then it's just a regular number, no percent sign. All right, so this one says 42 is 5% of what number? So again, 42 is, so that would be on the top. Then we have a 5%, so that's going to go on the top over here. And it says of what number? So we don't know this number. And this bottom number over here is always 100. So cross multiply. We have 42 times 100. And across from the x, we have a 5. So we have to divide by 5. So that would be 4,200 divided by 5, and we get 840. And again, this problem says of what number? It's not a percent, so 840 is our answer. Now this one says Annie earned 80% on a test by answering 16 questions correctly. If each question was worth the same amount, how many questions were on the test? So the first thing I notice is 80%. So I know that the percent has to go over 100. Now we have to figure out where the 16 goes. Is it our is or is it our of? And they didn't use those words here. So if you think about it, if you got 16 correct, that would be the top number, and the bottom number would be how many questions were on the test, and that is what they're asking us. We don't know that, so that's where our variable is going to go. So we're going to multiply the two numbers across from each other, so it's 16 times 100, and then we have to divide by what's across from the variable, so we'd have to divide by 80. So we have 1600 divided by 80, and we can cross off zeros at the end if both of them have it. So then I have 160 divided by 8. So that would be 20. And it says how many questions? So the answer is 20 questions. And our last question here says, in a science lab, a sample of a compound contains 14.5 grams of magnesium. If 72.5% of the sample is magnesium, find the number of grams in the entire sample. So again, we have a percent, so we automatically know that has to go over the 100. And the other number we have is 14.5, and we need to know if that's the total or if that's just part. So the question is asking us, find the number of grams the entire sample weighs. So that would be the total. They're asking us for the whole thing. So 14.5 must be part of it. So remember, the top is a part and the bottom number is a whole or total. So now we can cross multiply. We have 14.5 times 100. And across from the x is 72.5, so we have to divide by that. Timesing by 100, that would be 1,450. And dividing it by 72.5. And that would give us an answer of 20. So how many grams does the entire sample weigh? It weighs 20 grams.